that to the Who Dat Nation. Welcome to the Who Dat Say podcast here on the KB Radio Network. This is the podcast where we follow our New Orleans Saints and the new NFL season, 2026-2027 NFL season has begun. And I know what you're saying. Kevin, we just had the Super Bowl a couple of weeks ago. I know. But the season is back up and running as free agency begins this Wednesday, March the 11th. But there is a legal tampering period, a little window where the NFL teams can negotiate with players prior to the official start of the NFL free agency period. And that began on Monday at about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock on Monday, when I would say my phone went completely haywire. First and foremost, I had completely forgot. I knew that free agency started on Wednesday, but I forgot about that quote unquote legal tampering period. And so when my phone went to getting these alerts, this person going here, this person restructured here, this person re-signed here, I was like, wait, what's going on? did I hit a time loop or something, or hit a vortex and I went into the future? No, it was the legal tampering period. And I will kid you not, the first thought in my mind, there's no point in me paying attention to all this because I know the New Orleans Saints aren't going to do anything, especially now. It'll probably be in a couple of weeks, Saints will start making some moves because that's what they normally do. Saints never come out hot at the beginning of the free agency period. But number one, in the past, it was because the Saints didn't have money. They didn't have any salary cap move to maneuver. And number two, even when they do have some money to kind of make some willing and dealing and trying to bring in somebody that can help the team, they don't do it. They go for the great value version of whatever it is we need. But boy, was I mistaken. The New Orleans Saints, I mean, they made some big swings already at the beginning of this free agency period. Number one, they started off by restructuring some deals. They restructured Chase Young's deal, Juwan Johnson's deal, and Justin Reed's deal. They also reworked Alvin Kamara's deal. And the Saints, they were actually under the cap at the official start of free agency at it was close about $20 million under the cap, which is like $1 billion in Saints speak, because we never have that much money going into free agency, especially in the last, 6-7 years. It's always been a uphill battle. Now, Mickey Loomis, as much as he has been the target of my vitriol for a large portion of the few years, I will give him credit. He always finds a way to get under the cap. Always found the way. And this was no exception. Now, the salary cap did rise this year, which also helped the New Orleans Saints along with the 31 other teams around the league. But it really did help the Saints in their efforts to try to improve this squad. And I guess the big question going into this offseason was, what was our biggest need? Because the Saints have so many needs. So where is our priority? What's the number one need for the New Orleans Saints? Now, if you ask me, and no answer is wrong. That's the funny part about it. Well, it's not so funny in the Who Dat Nation, but the crazy part about it is that there are no wrong answers to that question. Where do I start? The Saints, in my humble opinion, I felt the Saints' biggest need was in the trenches. whether it's offensive line or defensive line, but especially that offensive line, because we do have a quarterback that we can consider at this point. I think collectively that this is our quarterback of the future. And so you want to protect him. And so you need to build an offensive line. Our offensive line over the last couple of years, I will give the Saints credit. They have tried. And they've had some hits. It looks like Calvin Banks Jr. is a find in the draft last season. Taliense Fuaga looks like he's a good pickup in the draft that we got 2 years ago. Eric McCoy is probably one of the best centers in football right now if he can stay healthy. But that's where it stops. Our problem is right up the middle with these guards. In particular, Mr. Cesar Ruiz. He is probably, I think I read this correctly. I was trying to find that article before the show. I couldn't find it. I read it about a year ago. But Cesar Ruiz is the lowest ranking offensive lineman. Not guard. Offensive lineman in football. At least he was at the time I read that article. And I would put dollars to donuts that it's still that way. He is horrible. That is a first round pick that we whiffed on. Now, I don't 100% blame the Saints organization for that because it was a need. But it wasn't met on Cesar Ruiz's part. He did not meet the standards at all. There is nothing about Cesar Ruiz that is redeemable for me. He can't block. He can't run block. He can't pass protect. Whenever defenses who watch film, and that's 31 other teams, watch the film, they know where to send the pressure. Right up the middle at Cesar Ruiz. And every time, I would say more often than not, you're going to get there. If you don't, it's 10 yards the other way because it's a holding penalty. It was one or the other. Either your quarterback's going to get sacked for a 10-yard loss or it's just going to be a 10-yard penalty. Either way, it's a negative 10-yard play when we deal with Cesar Ruiz. And so I always felt that was our biggest need. Defensive line, yeah, because there's a lot of question marks going into this offseason. Cam Jordan. Cam Jordan hitting the free agency market for the first time in his career. Which is weird to say, because number one, I always envisioned Cam Jordan being a New Orleans Saints his entire career. Win, lose, or draw, he was going to be a New Orleans Saint. Him hitting free agency, I get it because it's that time. But is it though? Because he is coming off a double double-digit sack season. He had 10 sacks last year. The man's 36. And he's still producing. It's still, knock on wood, not an injury-prone player. I don't think he ever missed a game. No, he missed one game because of COVID, and that ended up being a negative test, a false positive. And so he is the most durable player I think the Saints has ever had, and probably in NFL history. He is Mr. Iron Man. But the question remains, if he does sign with another team, who is there to replace him? We do have Chase Young. Chase Young came around late last season. I think that button or that switch was switched on. He looks like the animal that we saw back in Ohio State, which got him a first-round draft pick, when he came into the league. He looks like that player now. Carl Granderson, they gave a nice contract to last offseason. Hasn't lived up to it yet, or since. Is he the replacement? I'm not 100% sure. Do we address that in free agency, or is that a place where we address it in the draft coming up next month? We'll see. we'll see how it all plays out there. Demario Davis, another one, a little long in the tooth. He's lost a step or two, but he is still Demario Davis. He is still a leader of men, and he leads that defense. And you kind of want that presence there. Well, there's no need to sit there and wait and see if another team would pick him up. He was almost probably one of the first players to come off the board in this legal tampering period when he returned to the New York Jets, teaming back up with Aaron Glenn. We all know Aaron Glenn was here in New Orleans as a defensive coach, and so he was drafted by the Jets. Demario Davis as well. So he returns home there. And look, let me say this much. I hate to see him go. Oh my God, I hate to see him go. But I understand. I understand. To a degree, and I'll explain. I understand him going back, and I think it was a 2-year, $22 million contract, if I'm not mistaken, that he signed with the New York Jets. The Saints could have matched that, I believe, but I mean, why? Why would you? Why? It's time to move on. It's truly time to move on, and I wanted Demario Davis to move on and possibly, get that ring that he's been chasing. This is where the problem comes in. He's not getting it in New York. New York is in worse shape than we are. And that's where the question come in. Why would you go to the Jets? Now, had he went to, Kansas City or, one of the NFC West teams or Philadelphia or something like that, a team that's actually a contender, Detroit or something like that. Yeah, I would have felt that, I would have cheered for him to succeed. But going to the Jets, I don't know if it's nostalgia or, wanting to end his career in the franchise that drafted him. I don't know what it is, but I think I read somewhere his daughter is going to school in New York or something like that. I could be mistaken. Now, if that's the case, okay, I kind of get it. But even then, the Jets, man, the Jets are one stupid move away from Aaron Glenn being fired already. He got rid of his entire coaching staff last season. Now, mind you, that was his first year. And also keep in mind, I was cheering for Aaron Glenn to become the Saints head coach over Kellen Moore. I wanted Aaron Glenn. Boy, was I wrong, and boy, am I happy that I was wrong, because the Jets look worse than they did before they hired Aaron Glenn. But anyways, yeah, I wish Demario Davis all the luck and send love to him and appreciation for all of the blood, sweat, and tears that he left in the Caesars Superdome every single week, donning the black and gold uniform. I'm truly gonna miss him, truly am. But it's time to move on. It's time to move on. Get younger, get faster, get some players in here that are hungry. And that's not to say that Demario Davis isn't hungry, not to say that Cam Jordan isn't hungry. Cam Jordan is probably the hungriest player on the team, and I don't care if it's if it's a 19-year-old rookie that is coming in. He's hungrier than him. Cam Jordan, he only has one speed, and that's go. And as it stands right now, he hasn't signed with anybody else. I don't know what the number he's throwing out there, but not too many people is going to pay for a 36-year-old defensive end. Demario Davis is different, and the situation kind of fell into place for him where he went and all this other stuff. Now, Cam is different. I hope that we can get him back. I would love for him to finish it out here, one more go around here, but unfortunately, I'm not the GM of the New Orleans Saints. But those two have left. We know that, not only those two. Well, the jury's still out on Cam, but one that we know for certain did leave was cornerback Alontae Taylor. Alontae Taylor, Alontae Taylor it's a love hate thing with Alontae Taylor, at least for me. I think he's a really good cornerback, a very valuable cornerback. When he was playing here, what messed Alontae Taylor up was him bouncing back and forth, switching from nickel to dime package to number one to the number two, back to the slot, and sometimes had him in safety. I mean, he was never in one position, and I don't think he ever mastered one. He never got the opportunity to master just one spot. When it looked like he was starting to get good in one particular position, they switched him. They switched him to another spot, and I don't think that was fair to him. It's not particularly this coaching staff that we currently have in New Orleans. It was more of Dennis Allen and the way that they bounced him around. But the reason for that, because he was good. He was good in every one, but he wasn't great in either one. And I just knew that he was gone. And especially after last season, it looked like he was getting worse. I couldn't tell the difference between him and Paulson Adebo when he was here. You remember Paulson Adebo was a walking PI. And so when he walked out the door, I wasn't 100% upset by that, even though I wish we could have kept him, because I think Paulson Adebo is a good corner, a decent corner. And I feel the same way about Alontae Taylor. But, it is what it is. He signed with the Tennessee Titans. He's returning to Tennessee. In case you forgot, he went to school at Tennessee. So he returns home, and it was a big money. I had it written down, but I can't remember off the top of my head, and I can't find it here. I must have written it down somewhere else, what his numbers were, but it was a nice size number. I know that much, and I know it was a number that the Saints were not going to meet. So, once again, just like with Demario Davis, I wish Alontae Taylor well and much success in Tennessee. Now, with Demario Davis leaving, the Saints did have some targets in this free agency. One, they wanted to kind of zero in on Jacksonville's free agent linebacker Devin Lloyd, who's a really good, solid linebacker. The Saints were rumored to be in the service, in contention for Devin Lloyd, which I thought would have been a nice pickup. But unfortunately, he did come to the NFC South, but it wasn't to the Saints. He agreed to deal with the Carolina Panthers, a 3-year, $45 million deal to go to Carolina. And that kind of stunk, because I would, we need to replace that. We need to replace Demario Davis. As happy as I am that he, has moved on to greener pastures, not because I didn't want him here, but, to better himself, we still need somebody to step up there. Now, we do have, what's his name, Struckman, and Stauber's a safety. It's another linebacker we have. But anyways, that veteran presence at linebacker, especially Mike linebacker, you need somebody that's going to command this defense and get everybody where they need to go. But Saints kind of lost out on that competition, and we will be seeing him twice a season, unfortunately, on the other side of the field. But it's all good, because just because we couldn't snatch that out of Jacksonville, we did snatch something else out of Jacksonville, and that was their running back, Travis Etienne. Not only did we snatch him from Jacksonville, but we allowed him to come home to Louisiana. He's from Jennings, which is about 2 hours away from New Orleans. A little short drive there. But he comes home. He gets to play his brother twice a year, who plays for the Carolina Panthers. And a little ironic twist there. But yes, Travis Etienne Jr. is here. Saints snatched up the second best running back in this free agent cycle. The first one being Kenneth Walker, the second or the third, or whichever one, but the Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker, who walks out of Seattle, which is crazy. The man just won the MVP a couple of weeks ago, and he has moved on to the Kansas City Chiefs, making them probably the favorites to go to the Super Bowl next season. But we got the second best option, and that is Travis Etienne Jr. Now, this puts a monkey wrench in a lot of thoughts, in a lot of predictions going into the NFL draft. Saints were rumored to be heavy favorites to draft where he went to school, Notre Dame running back Jermaine Love Jeremiah Love, not Jermaine, Jeremiah Love. And I was all on board with it. I watched him in the combine because I was wondering what's the big whoop with Jeremiah Love. And so I watched some of that combine. I watched some clips on YouTube of him. I'm like, yep, please be there when we get there. Please, we can use that. We can definitely use that to go along with Alvin Kamara and Devin Neal. But now, with this move, this throws a monkey wrench in a lot of the Saints' structure. When you sign somebody like a Travis Etienne Jr. to a 4-year, $52 million contract, that's not to come off the bench. That's not to split time. That is starter money. That's every down back money that you signed this man to. So now that opens the door to what do you do with Alvin Kamara? Alvin Kamara is probably the last piece to the Sean Payton handprint here in New Orleans. There's nothing else left, with Demario Davis leaving. Looks like Cam Jordan on his way out the door. The last piece to that puzzle is Alvin Kamara. And unfortunately, we've gotten to the point, at least I have, that if Alvin Kamara leaves, I probably don't care. I really don't. And it's not that I don't like Alvin, but Alvin hasn't made it easy. Alvin has been hurt, especially the last 2 seasons. He hasn't finished the season. When he did play, he didn't look 100% healthy, to be honest with you, especially last season. And to be honest, he really doesn't look like he fits this Kellen Moore offense. I thought that he probably would fit in well when they hired Kellen Moore, but the way Kellen Moore runs this offense, this is not a Alvin Kamara friendly offense. Physical run game type offense that Kellen Moore runs. So that's why I was like, okay, Jeremiah Love, Devin Neal, he's a physical runner. He fits it. And you could tell when he played, he fits it. Alvin Kamara looks like a square peg trying to get into a round hole in this offense. And it stinks, it stinks that, things have to end this way because it's ending. There's no point hoping that, maybe he can stay. With us as Saints fans, we need to stop that. We really need to just be real with ourselves. I was talking to another who that yesterday, and he was like, man, same thing. We were talking about Demario Davis at the time, but it fits to this same conversation here involving Alvin Kamara. but we kind of got caught up in it because we're big fans of Demario Davis, and we're like, man, the Saints could have matched that though. He could have stayed and all this here, and then like it was a flash, like God Himself talked, uh, tapped me on the shoulder and whispered in my ear, like no, it was time. It's time for him to go. It's time. He's on the wrong side of 30. It's time. And I sat there and I was like, well, no, it's fine that he's gone. It's fine that he's gone. I think the only thing that upsets me about it is that we don't have anything that's like day one replacement, when it comes to Demario Davis. Unlike this situation with Alvin Kamara, we have a day one replacement when it comes to Travis Etienne. And so, yeah, what do we do with this? How do we handle this situation? Now, just to go over last season with Etienne over there in Jacksonville, he rushed for 1,107 yards, 7 touchdowns last season. He caught 36 passes for 292 yards and 6 touchdowns. So, not to mention he's 27 years old, so he's still young. He is a, I guess, younger version of Alvin Kamara, but he's more physical than an Alvin Kamara. He can do everything Alvin Kamara can do. Now, I'm not trying to compare the two. I'm not saying he's better than Alvin Kamara or Alvin Kamara is just trash. He's washed. No, I'm not saying all that, but Travis Etienne is a really, really, really good running back, and I don't think we're going to miss much with his addition and Alvin Kamara's subtraction. And so that was a big move for the New Orleans Saints, probably one of the bigger moves in free agency. New Orleans Saints signed Travis Etienne to a 4-year, $52 million deal to join the Who Dat Nation. The Saints also signed a punter, addressing another need there at that position. They signed Ryan Wright to a 4-year, $2.5 million, a 4-year deal with a $2.5 million signing bonus and an $8 million guarantee. Kai Kroger wasn't horrible. He wasn't, I don't know how to describe him, but we could have did better. Well, let's be real. Let's put it out there. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Saints haven't had a good punter since Thomas Morstead left. From the moment Thomas Morstead left the New Orleans Saints have gotten a different punter every single year. We cannot find a punter. And Thomas Morstead, I think last year was his final year. I think he kicked his last ball last season. But he was still booming those kicks. I know the price tag would have been a little hefty due to the fact that he was drafted pretty high the year he came out and everything. So they made a business decision, but I would have paid it because special teams is crucial. Field position is critical in football. And if you don't have a good punter, you're in trouble. You're in serious trouble. If you don't have a good kicking game, you're going to struggle. And we struggled a lot in special teams last season. Kai Kroger, I think he averaged 37 yards a punt, which is, I think, like the bottom half of the league. So we needed to address that need. We struggled there. We struggled there a lot. I mean, look, here's the list. Here's the list of who we went through since Thomas Morstead walked out the building in 2020. We had Blake Gilligan. We had Luke Headley. We had Matthew Hayball, and then we had Kai Kroger. So every year we had a different punter. We just could not get it right. And so let's hope and pray that this investment that they just made here with Ryan Wright is a good one. I'm not even going to sit here and try to pretend that I know Ryan Wright's leg Like I followed his career. No, I didn't. But I do know he's a decent punter. He's coming from Minnesota, and they had a pretty good special teams setup over there. So I'm encouraged by that a little bit. But we'll see how this all plays out this upcoming season. The Saints extended, or should I say signed, because it was a 1 year deal we had with John Ridgway, the third, the defensive tackle who I don't think he touched the field. I don't think he touched the field. He was hurt. He was hurt. He missed a large portion of it. Well, I think he came back towards the end of the season, but he sparingly got on the field. The Saints extended him or re-signed him to a 2 year, $6.2 million deal, uh, which is a very team friendly deal because he didn't prove anything. He didn't do anything. But you also got to respect the fact that, look, you was injured. It's not fair to you to just let you go or whatever. They're giving him a chance to prove itself. This is a prove it deal. Yes, it's a 2 year deal, but we all know in football, 2 year deals are actually 1 year. So we'll see how it go because that 60 not 60 but $6.2 million, only 1.6 of that is guaranteed, so they can walk away from it easily. And I think the other 1.6 is signing bonus, so they can walk away from it at any time, so you're not hurting yourself there. And defensive tackle is a need. So we'll see how this pans out. Hopefully he'll stay healthy going into this season, and we can actually see what we were supposed to get last season with this addition. Going back to what we were talking about earlier with what I felt was the number one need that needs to be addressed, and that is the offensive line, and particularly guard. I thought that would be something the Saints will look for in the draft. No, sir. They actually went and picked up probably the best guard in free agency. Not saying in the NFL, but in free agency when they signed guard David Edwards from the Buffalo Bills to a 4 year, $45 million contract. And I'm sorry, not $45 million contract. I think it was more like 63, but 45 of it is guaranteed with a $20 million signing bonus. And so he got paid. He got big time paid. And so what does this mean? And so did we address that need? Well, like I said, David Edwards, he's been regarded as one of the better guards in football. The Saints knew they needed to invest in his offensive line. That's point blank period. It just to reiterate what I was saying earlier. You found your quarterback of the future. You need to protect him, and especially up the middle. You need to protect him. You need to invest in that offensive line. Just think back, ladies and gentlemen, of the Who Dat Nation. How did Drew Brees have this Hall of Fame career that he had? He had an awesome offensive line. Awesome offensive line. When he first got to New Orleans with Jari Evans and what's his name, Carl Nix, and a Partridge in a Pear Tree. I'm blanking on everybody else's name. Tyrone Armstead and all them. He had a brick wall in front of him, and so that's how we were able to succeed, or he was able to succeed because of that offensive line. And so we need to build this offensive line up. Like I said, we got the two ends sold up with Fuaga and Banks. You know, you have your anchor with Eric McCoy, who they restructured, by the way. You have that. Now you have yourself a guard. You can get yourself another one, but you can address that in the draft. But we needed at least one, you know, especially in this run game. And we know that Buffalo succeeded in that run game because of that line. Just ask Josh Allen and James Cook. Yeah, they loved it. They loved it over there. Not James Cook. Or is it Cook? I forgot who they running back. But anyways, yeah, they loved it. So and they're gonna miss him. I saw a tweet from Josh Allen. He was hurt, boy. I think he was more hurt by that than he was losing that playoff game. Because that's a big part. A quarterback's best friend is your lineman up front. Because that's your shield. That's your protection. But anyways, moving on to the last, at least up to now at the time of this recording, the last transaction that took place involving the New Orleans Saints. The Saints picked up Noah Fant, tight end from the Cincinnati Bengals. They agreed to a 2-year deal here, another prove-it deal. But speaking of 2 years, the Saints been on a hunt for Noah Fant since last year. They were trying to sign him last season. He even visited, I think, during training camp. He came down here. I remember that because I thought it was a lock. And the next thing you know, he signed with the Cincinnati Bengals. And I was like, how? You had him in the building. What happened? Well, they say if you love something, let it go. And if it was truly meant to be, it'll come back again. So I guess that's what happened. He came back around this offseason, and the Saints picked him up. Last year, he had 34 catches for 388 yards and 3 touchdowns, but he also lost 3 fumbles as well. And the only reason I bring up that little stat is because all 3 of them were scooping scores by the defense. All 3 were touchdown returns by the defense. I've never heard a stat like that in my life, but I'm still happy with the pickup. Fant was used in run blocking on most plays over there in Cincinnati. I think on 140 plays or something like that, and he had 82% win rate on those plays. So he is your prototypical blocking tight end, and he wins when it comes to blocking. Taysom Hill and Foster Monroe, they're free agents. They will become free agents at the official start of free agency. I don't see them bringing back Taysom. Foster Monroe maybe, but it will be in a lesser role. But I don't see Taysom coming back. I think Taysom is more of a health thing when it comes to Taysom. I think his body really has been through the ringer because he's been through so much. They had him doing so much special teams, fullback, tight end, running back, quarterback, water boy, equipment manager. They had him doing everything. And his body, I mean, let's not forget, Taysom Hill, he's in his mid to late 30s. I forgot how old Taysom Hill is, but he's no spring chicken, I can tell you that much. And so this was a good pickup. If for anything, he's a good blocking tight end, which is another added bonus to this Travis Etienne signing and the run game and supporting that. And in the passing game as well. I know his numbers don't shout out to you, but you got to remember, how many balls can you spread around in Cincinnati with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and it was too much going on. Then last season they didn't have a quarterback. Joe Burrow was out for the majority part of that season, so it's really deceptive when you look at his receiving numbers. So, but he is a quality tight end, and hey, if he's in there just to block, that's fine too, because he wins over 80% of the time. And so that was a great pickup by the New Orleans Saints. I'll say this much about the Saints this off season, and this is directed towards Mickey Loomis. As much as Mickey Loomis has been in the doghouse with me for the majority of his tenure as the general manager of the New Orleans Saints, this was nice. This was nice to see that the Saints didn't go on the clearance rack and just try to get these project players and these experimental players that are raw, you got to work with, hope that it pans out down the line, and actually get some proven players that I feel will benefit this team week one. And so kudos to Mickey Loomis, to Kellen Moore, and the best is yet to come because we still have the remainder of free agency period. We can still bring in some more. We still need to address the pass rush issue, with Cam Jordan's potential departure from the team. Who do you bring in? I know a lot of people are high on Trey Henderson, bringing him back. I would love to bring him back, but not at $30 million a year. he can forget that. I mean, if it was Myles Garrett, sure. No, come on, Trey. Come on now. That's too much. That's too much. But it needs to be addressed as well. I don't know if they address it in this free agency period or in the draft, but we do know it needs to be addressed. Other needs, we still need to find a corner. We lost a corner. We lost Alontae Taylor. Love him or hate him, he was still a body. He was still a quality cornerback back there in the secondary, and we do need to address that. So there are still needs, and of course, a number 2 receiver to go alongside Chris Olave. Who's out there? I don't really see nobody out there as far as free agency is concerned, but I've been surprised before, been shocked in awe before, so we'll see going forward. But so far, so good, man. Kudos to the New Orleans Saints on these moves. I'm not screaming Super Bowl. I'm not saying, okay, we done flipped it now. We're going 17-0. We're unstoppable. No, let's pump the brakes, people. But I do think with these moves, with these additions to the team, the Saints have a 75 to 80% chance of winning this division right now, as it stands. I mean, just look around the rest of the NFC South. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers lost their best receiver in Mike Evans. Carolina Panthers lost one of the best running backs in the division with Rico Dowdle. He went to the Steelers, I believe. You have Atlanta. They signed Tua Tagovailoa as their quarterback, who is probably a pluck behind the ear away from having his last concussion. I don't know what the allure is with Tua. I really don't. He's all right. Tua is a quality backup in my eyes. I've never seen him as being the guy. But hey, maybe the change of scenery will change the way he plays. Maybe he gets to Atlanta and just set the world on fire. We will see, but I don't see it. I personally don't see it. I'm saying all that to say this: the Saints look like the better team on paper. On paper, it looks like the Saints can do some damage in the NFC South. With more time to go to improve even more. And so my spirits are high. I'm excited, finally for the first time in a long time when it's involving the New Orleans Saints. And so, man, this is good. This was a good opening to the free agency period. But I would like to know, what did you think about the Saints signings? Do you think Alvin Kamara is done? If you don't think he's done here, I don't know what to tell you. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it's over for AK here in New Orleans. But do you like his replacement, so to speak? Do you like Travis Etienne? Do you like the addition of Noah Fant, of but David Evans to the team? And who do you think the Saints will draft in the draft? Who now that these moves have been made, do your opinion change on who the Saints will pick in that number 8 pick I think we have? Or do you think it's going to be best available player. I would love to know your thoughts. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, don't forget about YouTube. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel and like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the Who That Say podcast here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this discussion about the start of the 2026 free agency period for our New Orleans Saints. Oh man, this is a good time. Good time to be alive. Can't wait to speak to you on the next go around. Until then, I'm going to be screaming to the top of my lungs. Who that?